Alright guys, in this video we're going to take a look at Collapse and also the accordion widget in Bootstrap 4. So basically with the Collapse we're going to create a button that we can click, and then it's going to basically slide some more content down and reveal it. So let's go ahead and create a button here. So I'm going to say button, and we'll give it a class of BTN as well as BTN primary. And we're going to put in here, let's just say read more. Okay, and then inside the button, let's also give it a class of d-block. That'll display it as a block. And then let's give it a little bit of margin bottom, so we'll say MB4. All right, now we need to give this a special attribute called data toggle, okay, which we've used before. We use this in drop downs. So this is going to be collapse. Okay, and then we're also going to need a data target because it needs to know basically what to collapse. So let's say data target, and then we'll say ID collapse dash BTN dash 1. Okay, so under that button, if we save that, we're going to see the button. Under that, though, we're going to have a div with the class of collapse. Okay, and then we're going to give this the ID of whatever we put right here, which is collapse button 1. So let's go ahead and we're going to say ID equals and collapse button 1. So in here, let's just put a card, and then we'll just put a card block, and we'll put some text. Alright, so let's save that. Now, when it reloads, we're not going to see this initially. It's hidden by default until we click this, and now we can see it. Okay, and we can toggle it back and forth. So that's a basic collapse. Now we also have an accordion, which is kind of a more in-depth menu type system. So let's go ahead and create a div here, and we're going to give it an ID of accordion. And we're also going to give it a role of tab list. Okay, and then inside here we're going to create a card, and let's give it a card header. Okay, now this card header is also going to have a role of tab, and then we're going to give it an ID of heading 1. Okay, the accordion is actually made up of cards. So let's see, in this div, we're going to put an H5, and I'm also going to just give this a class of MB0, so there's no margin on the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to put a link in here, and this link is going to have, it's actually going to have an href of an ID, which I'm going to call collapse 1. Okay, that's going to be the tab that it opens. And then it's also going to have an attribute of data-parent. Okay, so data parent, and we're going to set that to the ID of accordion. All right, and then we also need to give this a data toggle, just like the collapse we did. So data toggle, oops, data toggle equals collapse. Okay, and then in here, let's just say collapse 1. So we'll save that. That's what it's going to look like. Nothing's going to happen yet if I click it because we haven't created this collapse 1 ID, and that's what it's looking for. So we want to go right down here below this div, and we're going to put our ID of collapse 1, and we're also going to give this a class. I'm going to give it a class of collapse and show. All right, and then in here we're going to have a card. Actually, we're just going to have a card block, and then we'll put some content. So let's say lorem 50. All right, so let's save that. Now the reason that it's showing right away is because we have this class show right here. If I were to get rid of this, it's not going to show right away, and we can collapse it now. Now I'm going to put show back, and we can still collapse it, but it's going to show by default because we have that class. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to copy the entire card, which ends there, so let's grab that. and we'll paste that in, and then we're just going to change up a couple things. We're going to change the href to go to collapse 2. We're going to change the text collapse 2, and we're going to change the ID to collapse 2. Okay, we're also going to remove show because we don't want that to show by default. And then let's go under that card and put in one more, and we'll change it to collapse 3, collapse 3, and collapse 3. Save that. We need to remove the show. And there we go. So now we have an accordion menu. So it's that easy. So in the next video, we're going to take a look at tooltips. Okay, so we'll look at tooltips and then popovers, modals, and then we should be done and we should be ready for our projects.